From the Detroit Free Press, I'm Robin Chan with today's Voice Briefing. It's Tuesday, April 1st, 2025.
This is J.C. Randall with the Detroit Free Press. Dan Gilbert's Rocket Companies is on a buying spree this spring. 3 weeks ago, it announced it was buying Redfin. On Monday, it said it plans to buy a Texas firm that is the nation's largest mortgage servicer. That company, called Mr. Cooper, employs nearly 7,000 people. Mortgage servicers collect payments that borrowers make on mortgages and remit those payments to the investors and owners of the mortgage. In exchange, they get paid a small percentage of the monthly payments. If and when this deal closes later this year, Rocket Companies would be servicing 1 out of every 6 mortgages in the country. Rocket has been trying to fashion itself as a one-stop shop for all things real estate.
I'm Frank Witzel with the Detroit Free Press. A blast so powerful that it ripped away bricks from a Detroit apartment building and injured a dozen people, including 6 children, is under investigation early Monday as demolition crews tried to stabilize the structure. At least 2 of those harmed were hospitalized in critical condition. It also triggered emergency cell phone alerts throughout Metro Detroit. Officials told the Free Press that everyone seemed to have evacuated from the 12-unit Westside Detroit structure based on thermal imaging from drones, but what's left of the building will need to be demolished. The explosion went off at about 4 a.m. in the 13,000 block of Littlefield Street on the city's west side, according to fire officials and TV news crews reporting from the scene early Monday. Detroit Fire Commissioner Charles Sims told reporters in a news briefing that if not for the fast-acting rescue crews, the injuries and damage could have been far worse. When firefighters arrived, Sims said some residents were preparing to jump out of the second-story windows, but first responders were able to safely rescue them and take the badly burned residents to hospitals for treatment. Among those injured, a 30-year-old man with severe burns to nearly all his body, a 27-year-old woman who was in critical condition, and a 3-year-old girl who was also harmed in the fire.
Hey everybody, this is Evan Petzold, the Detroit Tigers beat writer for the Detroit Free Press. On this week's episode of our podcast, Days of Roar, we talk to Detroit Tigers radio analyst Bobby Scales about a variety of topics, including team culture, Spencer Torkelson's developments, and if Kerry Carpenter should get more opportunities against left-handed pitchers. Here's a quick snippet of our conversation. Bobby, talk to me about Spencer Torkelson. What's going on right now, and is this sustainable throughout the season?
I want to say yes. I want to believe that it is. What's going on with Tork? We've talked a lot about the adjustments that he's made in the offseason. Obviously, he knew he had to get better. What happened last year was not a place where he wanted to be and not a place where the Tigers needed him to be, especially with how left-handed this team is. You needed a big bat, a right-handed bat that could hit in the middle of the order, that could break up some of that left-handedness. And he went to work, and you got to commend him. It looks different, but it doesn't look drastically different to you're like, oh my gosh. The thing that I am most proud about him is he was told he's got to make that team, okay? But he's also told he's got to change what he's doing. He got some results in spring training, hit a bunch of home runs, I think 4 or 5 home runs in spring training. Okay, then it's spring training. But then you come out of the gate and you get Snell, you get Yamamoto, and you get Sasaki. And then you get that bullpen. And the at-bats he hit the homer. He had some really good at-bats. He had some really good takes, spitting on pitches he would have for sure swung at last year. It's early, but thus far, for it to be battle-tested and thrown into the fire with that group of pitching he just saw, I don't know that you're going to see a better group collectively of pitchers from, you get Snell, Yamamoto, Sasaki struggled, fine. But that bullpen, 4 right, 4 left, they're all filthy. You may not see better pitching all year. You may see individual better pitchers, but collectively as a group, those guys are nasty, man. And for him to stay with it and get the results this early on in the season, it can't do anything but inspire confidence.
You can hear that full conversation in this week's episode of Days of Roar, which is available wherever you listen to podcasts. And as always, you can find our latest coverage on freep.com/sports.
Find more from the Detroit Free Press on freep.com. That's FREEP.com. Thank you for listening, and you'll hear more from us tomorrow.